Today we're making a tart with one of my all-time favorite flavor combos, caramel and chocolate. We're going to start by making an almond flour shortbread crust, then we're going to make an ooey gooey date caramel, then we're going to make a chocolate ganache, and then we'll put it all together into the most delicious dessert. Our first step is to make our almond flour crust so that we can bake off the tarts and let the crust cool while we prep our other fillings. To a bowl, we're adding almond flour, some tapioca, some salt. We're going to give that a quick mix just to get it all distributed before we add our wet ingredients. Going to add some maple syrup, some softened coconut oil, or you can use softened vegan butter or palm shortening. Just make sure I'm scraping out all the bits. And then some vanilla extract. Then we're just going to use a spoon and we're going to mix it until it's combined. I like to start with a spoon, and then once it starts to come together, I like to use my hands. Using your hands lets you almost knead the dough. Not that it needs kneading, but it gets everything well distributed and it gets all the bits off the bottom of the bowl. So at this point, if you're going to make a 9-inch tart, I would quickly throw this in the fridge and let it chill for a little bit so that you're more able to roll it out between parchment paper and then flip it into your tart shell. But since we're making 4-inch tarts here, I'm just going to go ahead and divide it into 4. You can roughly eyeball this and just press it into your tart tins, but I have a scale, so I'm going to weigh it out and then divide it in half and then half again so all my tarts are equal. One amazing benefit to being gluten-free is that you don't need to stress about overworking your dough because there's no gluten to overwork. So just press your dough. We're going to press it starting in the middle and kind of working to the edges so that you get dough up the sides. And then we're going to prick it with a fork all over the bottom. This kind of helps it from bubbling up too much. What I also like to do if it's bubbled up when it's been in the oven is when it's still hot out of the oven, you can press back down on where it's bubbled up and it will push it back down. That way you can fit more filling in your tarts. And then we're just gonna pop these in the fridge to chill them while our oven preheats to 325 Fahrenheit. And then we're gonna pop them in the oven. If you're making tarts, I would bake them from 20 to 22 minutes. You're looking for golden brown. And while our crusts are cooling, we're gonna start to work on our caramel filling. For this, we need about 60 grams of medjool dates. I'm gonna weigh them out here. It's about a 1/4 cup or 4 to 5 dates if you don't want to weigh them out. Make sure you're removing the pit and the little stem bit. And then we're going to put this in a blender, followed by our other caramel ingredients. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and then a 1/4 cup of your nut butter of choice. I'm using almond butter here. You could also use a cashew butter or a peanut butter, and then some vanilla extract, some salt. And then we're just going to blend this until it's nice and smooth. It's good to check it all the way to the bottom to make sure that you've gotten all your date pieces broken up and nice and smooth. And then we're just going to transfer this to a microwave safe bowl because we may need to heat this up later before we use it. So we've got our crust, we've got our caramel. Next, we're going to make our chocolate filling. For this, we need a can of coconut milk that's been refrigerated at least overnight. This allows the coconut cream portion to solidify and you can scoop it off the top easily. We're going for 1 cup of coconut cream. And if you can't get quite a cup of cream out of the top of your can, you've scooped it all out and you're not quite at a cup, then just top it up with some of the liquid to bring it up to a total of 1 cup. Then we're going to pop that in a microwave safe bowl. And we're going to measure out our chocolate of choice. I am using a dark chocolate that we make in-house at the bakery with organic cacao paste, cocoa butter, maple syrup, coconut oil, coconut sugar. We're going for 170 grams. And when we've got our 170 grams, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of maple syrup to start. And then we're going to microwave this until it's melted. We're gonna microwave it in little bursts of 30 seconds just so we don't overheat the chocolate and seize it. And after we've got it all melted, you're gonna give it a taste test and see, based on your chocolate that you've used, do you think it needs another tablespoon or 2 of maple syrup? I felt like ours needed 1 more tablespoon of syrup, so I'm going to add that now, as well as 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which I somehow didn't record, but add that here as well. Give it a stir, and now your chocolate ganache filling is ready. What I like to do, if you have it available, is transfer this to something with a pour spout on it. I've got a measuring cup here with a pour spout. It just makes it a lot easier. So now we've got all our components ready. Let's put them all together. We're going to take our cooled tart shells. We're gonna pop them out of their little pans. I found it easy to pop them out of the side ring, but it was a little difficult to get the bottoms off. I managed to get the first one off, but the rest were kind of stuck. My trick here, I like to grab a knife, and you can slide the knife in between the tart and the little piece of metal, and if you give it a twist, then it will pop right off. And if you've made a 9-inch tart, then just leave it in the pan until you serve. Next, we're gonna add a layer of caramel into our tarts. Just check the consistency of your caramel. Our bakery was really cold this day, so I microwaved it to get it more pipeable. We're gonna transfer it to a Ziploc or a piping bag, and then we're just gonna snip off a corner and then pipe it into the bottom of the tarts. You could also use a spoon and just scoop it over. I just find the piping is so much neater, and we're gonna use the piping bag to decorate the top later anyway. Once you've got your caramel transferred to the bag, you're just gonna snip off a little corner, and then we're gonna squeeze some out into our tart shells. Then we're gonna grab our chocolate ganache. We're gonna top these tarts right to the top with our chocolate filling. And then before we finish with the caramel decorations, we're gonna pop this in the fridge until the chocolate sets up a little bit. Otherwise, your caramel is just gonna sink into the ganache. So you see I gave a little bit of a jiggle test to see how jiggly the ganache was. And now we can use the rest of our caramel in our Ziploc bag to decorate it however you like. I chose to go with a simple zigzag pattern. One little note about batch sizes here. When I was done these 4 tarts, it had used up all of the crust, the almond flour crust to make the 4. It used up about half of the caramel and about half of the ganache. So I ended up actually making another batch of the crust to make 4 more tarts for a total of 8. So you could do that, or you could half both your filling ingredient amounts to make a half size, or you can end up with a little bit of leftover ganache and caramel, which you could use as like ice cream sundae toppings or whatever you like. There you have it. You've just finished your chocolate caramel tarts, and I would pop these in the fridge just until the ganache is fully set, and then you can cut into them and enjoy. Let's cut into one right now so we can show you what it looks like inside, and you can see all the different layers. So let's pause right here. You can see the crust, the caramel, the ganache, and then our topping caramel. And one last thing we have to do is we have to taste test it, because you can't give out anything before you make sure that it tastes absolutely amazing. But seriously, how can you go wrong with the combo of chocolate and caramel? This was so good. I hope you guys enjoy it too. We'll see you next time.